when the president of the United States says we have to go after the enemy within, and that if he loses an election, it's because it was rigged, his words, that the idea that we'd put uniformed military surrounding polling locations, for you to not understand what that means to the American public, the playbook of authoritarianism that I've seen as a CIA officer play out over and over and over again in other countries, for you not to understand that that sends a shiver down the spine of every American, and should, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that's why there's a trust deficit, is because there are some circumstances in which you would use the military in the middle of our democracy like that. And I continue to believe it's not our uniformed military that have a problem, it's the leaders who are directing them and these missions.
Thank you, Senator.
You're
what
about
is up,
to
Patriots?
watch another Democrat scream authoritarianism, while ignoring the actual crisis crushing this country. And of course, here comes Elise Slotkin, never missing a chance to remind everyone she worked for the CIA. An analyst, a desk jockey, acting like that automatically makes her the supreme commander of military ethics. Please. Meanwhile, 70,000 Americans a year are dying from fentanyl. Our streets aren't exactly Disneyland after dark, and cartels are cashing in big time. But sure, let's panic about imaginary dictators instead. Then a Republican senator calmly asks the only question that matters: has the president issued any illegal orders? The answer? A flat-out no. That's the MIC drop they didn't want. If you're done with the fear-mongering circus, smash that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Thank you, Chairman. I always find it interesting when constitutional scholars and law of the sea scholars parachute from the rafters during every Trump decision. But we're not a legal body. We're a political body. So if you want a legal body, there's one a block away of white marble. It's a beautiful building. We're a policy body. We're a political body. But just to set the record straight, to your knowledge, Mr. Young, has the president issued any illegal orders, or have illegal orders been followed in the course of the National Guard deployments to our southern border and our cities?
Senator, no, the president has not issued any illegal orders, and the Ninth Circuit has ruled in that favor.
And is the influence of transnational criminal organizations that fill our country with fentanyl, poison, various other drugs, illicit activity, human trafficking, is that a national security threat?
Yes, sir, it is. And as I said, I think we are responding to that very well in cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security.
So therefore, under a national security threat, which is unquestionably being fueled by foreign powers that do not want American values to succeed, co-opting transnational criminal organizations, they are actively attacking this country using illegal immigration, using transnational crime, and using drugs to do so. Would that be a correct statement?
It is, yes, sir.
So 70,000 Americans-ish a year are dying from fentanyl-related overdoses, are being trafficked, are being murdered and thrown under bridges by illegal immigrants and the criminal organizations related to those. That sounds like a pretty big emergency. You and I went to war for 20-plus years when 5,000 Americans were killed on and around 9/11. The number is much higher now, as they've unfortunately died from mesothelioma and other sicknesses related to what happened on 9/11, our first responders and more. I think we're almost 7,000 now, as those cancers have taken many lives. So we've settled the legal questions. What we're talking about is politics. What we're talking about is we're being told that 3 to 5 to 700, call the number whatever it is, honorable young Americans who've asked to join the military, raise their right hand, who are volunteering for these deployments, we're being told that them walking the streets, protecting Americans from being mugged, from being carjacked, like our congressmen are 2 blocks away from here. Like one of my staffers was clubbed over the head a few months ago in the ICU, woke up, stripped of all valuables. Apparently, these guardsmen on our street are a greater threat to this nation than the tens of millions of illegal immigrants that were welcomed to this country in the Biden administration. The Biden administration selectively opened our border. It was a choice. They made the choice to do that. It wasn't an accident. It was a decision that they made. And the Venezuelan boat drivers who want to bring poison to this country, they made a choice to get in that boat and drive it here. And we are making the choice, the American people made the choice last year that they're sick of it. They're tired of it, and they want an end to put to this disgusting policy that has led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. So I think it's an absolute disgrace that we are impugning the integrity of our people in uniform, the integrity of this administration, and the will of the American people to live safely on their own streets. The Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The American people have a right to expect their government will protect them from being murdered in the street. So I'm sick and tired of the constitutional lawyers parachuting out of the rafters every day when we are doing exactly what the American people asked us to do. If a legal order is given by the Supreme Court that this is wrong, I can promise you the administration will follow it. I hope they do, and I would expect them to. But thus far, a year into this administration, that hasn't happened, and the American people asked to be protected from these threats, and you're doing that.
Now that we've seen the whole thing, let's talk about what just happened. The Republican senator didn't just defend the administration. He dismantled the narrative piece by piece. Democrats tried to frame this as some dystopian power grab, throwing around phrases like enemy within and authoritarian playbook, hoping the buzzwords would do the heavy lifting. But when pressed on the only question that actually matters, has the president issued illegal orders? The answer was no. Not maybe. Not it depends. No. That's the problem for the left. Their entire argument runs on vibes and hypotheticals. The senator brought facts. The Ninth Circuit ruled in favor of the administration. National Guard deployments are legal. Transnational criminal organizations flooding the country with fentanyl? That's a national security threat. Even the witness admitted it. So what are we really arguing about here? Not legality. Not constitutionality. We're arguing about whether enforcing the border and protecting Americans is somehow authoritarian. 70,000 Americans dying every year from fentanyl is not a talking point. It's a national emergency. We went to war for 2 decades, over 3,000 lives lost on the 9th of November. Now the number is exponentially higher because of drugs pouring across a border that was deliberately opened. And Democrats want to clutch pearls over guardsmen standing on streets to deter crime? That's the outrage? Protecting citizens from being mugged and carjacked is suddenly the real threat? The senator called it exactly what it is. A disgrace to question the integrity of the men and women in uniform who volunteered to serve. These are not stormtroopers. They are Americans who raised their right hand to defend the Constitution. The left loves to say democracy is under attack, but apparently protecting Americans from cartels and traffickers doesn't count as defending democracy. This wasn't authoritarianism. This was leadership. It was a reminder that government's first job is protecting life. The Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not life, liberty, and hope the cartels behave. The Republican senator stood firm, stayed factual, and exposed the fear narrative for what it was, political theater. And that's why this hit so hard. One side brought dramatic warnings. The other side brought reality.